Man,
Yeah, that's right.
Harry, me and Natty, we were in this story. Still, we were back in Bahrain for this story, mate.
Hold on, Brucey. Just because we're on the clock. Oh, rolling, right. Hello and welcome to The Winners Never Quit, Series 5, Episode 2, Part 2 of the first instalment. We hope you enjoyed that. Next up, we are going to hopefully answer some of the questions that we had. We got a little bit sidetracked, but all in good fun after a few rattlers. So yeah, back with the same gang. Adam.
Hi, I'm Adam. Nice to meet you.
Brucey.
Nutty.
And we've actually got our good friend Harry on the mic as well, who's going to steer this conversation so we don't get sidetracked. Talking about Bangkok escapades.
Wouldn't know about those.
Yeah, wouldn't know about those.
It's only Brucey that knows about this.
Yeah. Trips to Bahrain. Yeah. And snaggy dits of being up in Sennybridge. So yeah, H, how's it going, mate? You all right?
Good, mate. Good. Fantastic podcast so far, guys.
Thank you. We'll pay you later.
In beers.
In beers. So yeah, H, if you want to answer the first question, mate, and we'll take it from there.
Sure. So this one is for Al. Why do you want to spend 45 days rowing 3 on, 3 off across the North Atlantic?
That's actually all.
You know that says all, right? Not Al.
Oh, fuck.
It's fine, you're Scottish.
We have different English here, boy. Yeah. Start again.
Right, that's
staying in.
It's brilliant. That's brilliant. Right, so why do you want to row across the Atlantic? I'll go first. It's a question I've thought long and hard about, and for me, that physical endeavour of pitching yourself, sort of, you know, your mental fortitude against the elements. There's no better challenge in life, and it's where I feel most alive. And it's just prolonging growing up a little bit. You know, getting another adventure in there before I have to settle down and have kids. So that's a big reason for me.
As Brucey likes to say, anything to get away from the real world, isn't it, mate?
Oh yeah, fine. Do you want to answer this question next?
I'll go next. Yeah, for me, it's. I wouldn't say that it's I want to do this row across the North Atlantic. It's more that I have to, in terms of I like to make a lot of my life decisions on how I'll look back on the decisions I made when I'm 90 years old. How will I feel about the decisions I made when I was younger? Being proud of the decisions I made, and also, like Jack said, building a legacy for the future family as well. And so it's the fact that this is going to be an incredibly taxing expedition where we'll all find out a lot about each other, ourselves, do ourselves proud. And like you've only got one spin on this planet, so you may as well live an extraordinary life, which is kind of the mantra that I've lived ever since I changed my life direction a couple of years ago. And this was the natural course of taking on something pretty wild with a group of 3 pretty solid blokes.
Who are they?
That was very nice.
That was actually really well put, wasn't it? It's available on YouTube as well.
My answer's going to be gash.
Shall I go next time?
Go on, Brucey.
I was about to say something fairly heartfelt, Natty. I like to live depends on who you ask, really, fairly hedonistic lifestyle, and I try to do one like big or one long event every year. It's like my annual kicking the stones to remind myself that you still exist. Really, it's important. So if you're gonna hard work and hard fun, I guess.
Yeah.
It's sort of
You don't do things by halves, do you, Brucey? It's always extreme hedonism or extreme difficult pursuit, you know?
Yeah, not if I can help it, really. But yeah, it's a very exciting thing. In my opinion, it's adventure in its rawest form. Mm-hmm. Like self-sufficient. Everyone's like, we're all stuck in that fucking boat and so low in the water. The horizon's 4 miles away for 45 days. That's our world. It's very small. Like nothing really fucking matters apart from could we have rowed any further that day, or could we look after each other, and is like the welfare of the boat and the crew as good as it could be. And then, it sort of gives me permission, allows me to permit myself to tear it up when I get off the boat.
Which you will.
Yeah, which you have been today. You hit the nail on the head though, like that. When you're on the boat, nothing else matters.
Yeah.
Life's so simple.
Yeah.
I think it couldn't if you tried to let it.
Yeah. You wouldn't care.
It's impossible to care about anything else outside of that boat after the first few days when you get used to that.
The purest form of flow state where you're just dealing with survival and the mission at hand rather than taxes and relationships and everything else. You know, it's just everything's confined into your immediate vicinity.
Yeah. Like even coming down to like, you don't even have to, all your food's on the boat.
Yeah.
You know, you put your hand in that cabin, you pick out your 3 meals.
Yeah.
And that's what you've got. Like, no, yeah, it's just so simple. I fucking love it. I love it.
It's fucking disgusting, really, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Nice. It's good because for me, I'd like to do it with my oppos and achieve something, bigger than myself.
Yeah.
So it's a nice thing to do with friends.
Yeah, and the first thing, kind of when we first spoke as well, Nutty, was the fact that the pleasure you take in doing it for its own sake. You know, you just love being out there grafting and taking on difficult adventures with the boys, and that's something. It's a lens with which you need to look through in order to be successful in something like this. So, yeah.
And then another sort of side thing as well, like raising money for a great charity. We all know Paul really well, and what charities I think get a lot of stick for, and sometimes rightfully so. You know, you hear about these big charities, I won't name names, but their chief execs are on however much, thousands, yet they've got old biddies working in the shop for them for nothing. But Paul set up this charity because of his own battles with mental health, and then to launch the charity, you know, ran around the coast of Great Britain. So if we can raise like 50k for him, and they want to build this whole retreat, I think it'd be fucking wild, mate. And
It will.
Definitely.
yeah, definitely.
I just feel like it's such a privilege to head up flagship expedition this year, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's such a privilege to be a part of that. And I was always slightly, like Jack was saying, slightly dubious about the how to say it, like without sounding like I guess the corporate nature of these charities. And it's not like I didn't trust Jack or doubted anything he said, but after meeting Paul Minter for myself and hearing his story for myself, and I thought, fuck, it's a two-way thing, you know. We do something it's a mutually supportive endeavour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I couldn't be prouder to be a part of this and do it for this reason.
Yeah.
And it also ties in very nicely with kind of the individual journeys we've all had with these three, all with 30 years in the military, a decade each plus, you know, and the fact that they're all getting out around a similar time. And that can be one of the hardest transitions for a veteran as they come into the civvy world mentally more than physically, obviously. And I've had my own fair share of mental health battles over the last half decade. And the fact that there's almost one veteran or serving suicide per day in the UK. And we all know how important it is to have that information to prevent things when you hit rock bottom, so you know how to pull yourself out. And that's exactly what Head Up do with their retreat, and also with the knowledge that they share regarding all of the tools and principles that you can use to change turn your life around when things are going south. So like Paul is he looks at things from the complete holistic perspective, exactly. And so, you know, things from animal therapy, cold water therapy, diet and gut health, all of those things aren't ignored, and they play a big part in the minutiae of putting your life back in a positive direction and focusing on things that change your mental health, you know.
Mate, no, that was a good one. That was pretty deep, mate.
Very
Good first question.
Just to build on what Az was saying, in another life, I think you would have made a great soldier, you know. And I really admire the way Head Up charity goes about their approach with like fucks it. I forgot what I was going to say.
No, I know. Bruce has had a few instances. No, but it was good, and you're right, because in the military there's a big thing on this is the way it has to be done, you know, because it's the way it's always been done. But Head Up, like you said, that holistic approach, you can't get animal therapy, I don't think, in the military.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, they don't talk about nutrition, you know, the power of exercise. It's just, and this isn't just for military guys or girls. It can be used for everyone. You know, you're suffering from depression. It's take these pills. Well, why not try? Why is the first thing medication? You know, not saying that isn't a good thing. Can't work, but
I remember what I was about to say now, right? Just fucks it. Yeah. The prevention's often better.
Editor, can you cut that?
Yeah.
Oh, you would do, wouldn't you? You wouldn't see me off like that.
We don't have an editor, Brucey. We can't afford that.
The philosophical approach, like the awareness of how to deal with problems before they arise, I guess.
Yeah.
How to help your own self out of it in a situation.
No, having those coping mechanisms.
Yeah, yeah.
Good first question.
Great
boys.
first question.
Yeah, yeah, nice and deep.
We managed to keep it on track.
Yeah, well done.
everyone.
Well, yeah.
Cheers
Great
to that.
success. Go on, H. Next question, bro.
Rattler's really nice, by the way.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah, great answer, Al. Thanks for that.
Nice. You had 5 minutes to plan that joke and it paid off.
When you tell people you're rowing the Atlantic, what's their response?
For Al again?
For Al, yeah. Go on, Adam, because we've rowed the Atlantic before. So
Yeah, true.
I think maybe you're the best person to answer this.
Yeah, kind of. I try not to tell people as well generally because it opens up a can of worms of a load of questions. But when they say, "Why are you in the UK for the next 6 months?" that makes no sense. It's like, well, I've actually got a pretty big expedition on my hands in June, and it's disbelief more than anything. It's like most people. I think Jack will have something interesting to say off the back of this, but most people can't fathom why on earth you would want to take on that level of discomfort and challenge in order to do something like that. The idea of, only having an unbroken sleep for 3 hours before you've got to do your next shift in the middle of the night and row constantly. The fact you're rowing for 12 hours a day, you don't get to shower, you got to wash yourself with some cold water and like occasionally, not even every day, and eat cold freeze-dry rations and warm freeze-dry rations sometimes. Shitting in a bucket, all the things that you take for granted in everyday life. The average person says, like, why on earth would you be interested in doing something like that? And I think we're all cut from a similar cloth where we think, why wouldn't you? Why not find your limit and take on the biggest challenge and burden that you can find for yourself? And I think none of us are under any disillusion that it's going to be there's going to be a lot of suffering involved, but I'm on this planet to feel the widest array of emotions possible and fulfill the hardest challenges that I can take on. And yeah, so most people, to give the short version, it's just like, why on earth are you doing that? They don't understand it. And I kind of stole Jack's answer there, but he said to me, why wouldn't you?
Yeah, why wouldn't you?
That's your take, isn't it, mate?
Yeah, for sure. I agree. And the main reaction I get in this is, but people go, oh, what a rowing boat. I think they think Oxford to Cambridge, don't they? And they can't get ahead, and you have to explain, and then there's no support boat, and we're actually doing an independent crossing.
Yeah.
So an independent crossing is exactly that, independent, not part of a race, no support boats, no anything. Now, that's not saying people that take part in a race don't do it.
That's difficult.
It's just as difficult, and they still do it unsupported. However, with some races like the Atlantic campaigns, there are 2 support vessels. So if something really goes wrong on the boat, they will have spare oars or spare water makers. So yeah, you can be bailed out. So independence is you're completely alone. There is no support vessel. We eat, poo, wash, shit, shower, shave, but we won't be showering or shaving. So I don't know why I said that. On that boat, we won't be getting off until we make landfall in the Scilly Isles.
And when he said eat poo, there was a comma between those two.
Yeah. We're not actually eating literal poo.
I don't know how you feel about it. Like, do
Eating
people
poo,
really take
bad.
it? Oh yeah.
Not, in fact, not I've ever tried it, but
Stop putting him off.
yeah. Sorry.
Oh no. Yeah, I need as much encouragement as I can get. do you when you tell people about it? Do you think that I don't think a lot of people really take it seriously? Not that I want them to take it seriously, but unless you really care about explaining it to someone, like the grand nature of this expedition, I don't think anyone realizes quite the.
No, that's the thing I've thought about as well, because ocean rowing is a very unique endeavour. I mean, and it is becoming more popular, but people don't get it. And as well, because when you say running, everyone has run. Everyone in the, even when you're a kid, you run around the playground. So everyone
relatable, like people
exactly, mate. And it's easy, but not everyone has rowed, so people don't know what it's like to even row for 5 minutes, let alone for 3 hours. Not many people have been across an ocean on a small sailing boat. Let alone an ocean rowing boat. So don't know how big and how wild it can get. So that's why I think people find it hard to relate to, and then just can't.
Do you feel compelled to explain it to people?
If people are interested, I love explaining it.
But not through ego. It's not that you need to validate it by explaining it. It's just like if someone wants to hear it, you'll tell them.
Because I'm quite an inquisitive guy, and I'll always, if someone's done something epic, like our mutual friend Mitch cycling to India, and from India he's going to run up to the top of Mount Everest. And I'll always ask questions about that, like just the logistics and what the route he's going to take and the people he's going to meet. So I don't mind, and it's not from an ego point. You're 100% right. I just, if people want to know and people are genuinely interested, I'll tell them.
Do you find a lot of people trivialise it? So it's like every now and again, it's like, oh, Bruce and Nutty doing more boat stuff. I imagine you got that all the time.
Yeah. People, and what I get a lot now is, oh, doing it as a team before, it'd be easy. And I'm like, you have no clue.
Interesting point to raise, actually.
You absolute spanner.
You Luddite.
Yeah. You imbecile.
I actually
Some in if you want. See, I think it's harder for us.
You absolute moon chicken. You berserker.
Oh, Brucey.
But yeah.
Arguably, it's harder rowing in a team of 4.
Especially with Jack's stroke rate, yeah.
I've heard about that.
Listen to them there. Right, H, next question, brother.
Can you wear a day sack at night?
24.
Oh, no way. That's what I usually ask him. No, did you ask him that?
My mate.
That's what I ask everyone, mate, when they post these bone fucking ask me anything on Instagram.
You should.
And my answer
You know,
to that,
Brucey.
my answer to that is, can you wear a day sack at night? No one has ever been so bold. Next question.
24 hours in the day, fella. It was Luke Everett. You know him. Evsy, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Evsy.
I don't know.
No. Brown boots. Holes in his debut bag.
Hangs smoke out the window.
Yeah.
Imagination. This one's quite serious. How likely is the risk of death?
Extremely unlikely.
So Jack's favourite thing about ocean rowing is ensuring that all crew members are clipped in at all times. So the fact that we're in the middle of the North Atlantic, completely unsupported, and we don't have an outboard engine to turn us around if we need to, something goes overboard and you need to pick it up. It's so important that we stay clipped in at all time. We'll be wearing safety harnesses when we're out on deck, throughout, and when we're out on deck, we'll be clipped into safety lines. And the reality is, the biggest risk, correct me if I'm wrong, boys, if we were to go overboard from a huge gopper, Brucey?
Goffer.
Fucked it.
Gopping.
A big gopper.
What a gopping mistake.
Yes, now that's
No,
right.
that's it, yeah.
A big gopper.
We didn't introduce ourselves again. So,
Yeah.
14 years in the Royal Marines, these two, 14 years in the Army. And then Adam is a civvy and he is picking up the military lingo very well. He's doing brilliantly.
I'm trying my best.
Yeah, he's doing well, mate. He's doing well.
So if a wave comes over and were to knock any of us into the ocean, the reality is you think you could just swim back to the boat or turn the boat around, but that can be extremely difficult depending on what the current's doing. And so that's probably the biggest risk. And so staying clipped in is majorly important. And then otherwise you've got getting rammed by a cargo vessel as well.
On that question about safety, statistically, ocean rowing is an extremely safe sport, and fatalities, which are rare but do happen, the vast majority of them are down to human error. It was
Or swordfish
fairly
error.
challenging undertaking.
Skewered.
Yeah,
So,
stay attached to the boat.
Yeah.
so can I just interject there?
go on, mate.
For sure. So the thing is, it's a dangerous activity done safely. And yes, there are low risks. However, Chris Martin, and I don't know the full details, but he was on the board of inquiry for the reason we now use climbing harnesses clipped on is they used to use surfing leashes. Big goffer come over and washed a guy off through surfing leashes, who had a surfing leash around his ankle. So
I think that it's a tragic story,
Yeah.
probably worth sharing. I try and do it some justice. Yeah, so say you've got the prevailing elements behind you, and someone goes overboard, and it's very easy for these things to snap with the forces involved between a person and a boat when the wave's breaking or whatever. And when they realise someone's gone overboard, they're not in any position to do anything else but watch him disappear over the horizon.
then yeah, that's exactly.
Which is a pretty
Tragic, isn't it?
Yeah.
yeah, it's not a very nice.
I can't imagine.
concept.
Like,
No,
mate,
mate.
it would be horrific. Like, and what Brucey means by the prevailing
Forever.
elements is the wind was behind the boat, so it's pushing it in the direction they want to go. So when the guy fell overboard, they literally could not turn that boat around into the wind to go and get him. So they just had to watch his PLB yeah,
Oh
disappear
yeah,
over the
fuck.
horizon.
Hopefully we've got a happy question, Harry. What's next?
Fuck's sake. Yeah. But yeah, maybe a more upbeat question next year. But anyway, long story short, biggest risk, falling off.
Yeah.
But that's not going to happen because we're always going to be clipped on.
Yes.
Who smells the worst?
Well, we'll find out. That's for sure. I think.
I mean, Bruce.
Too bad at the moment.
Bruce.
Jack, how long did you leave your boat after you landed in
I mean,
in
Jack's
Florida?
Pongos, so-
There we go. Pongos is
Where the
slang
army goes,
term, what they
pongos.
use for army people in the
Wherever
army.
the army goes, the pong goes.
What was it me?
Pongos.
Oh right. Okay.
Stinks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. Oh, the Pongos.
Pongos.
How long
Got
did
it.
you leave your boat when you landed in Miami before you came back to it?
So I took all the rubbish off the day because of what you boys told me.
Oh Jesus Christ!
Yeah.
What? So what?
So all the rubbish, because these boys were like, it hums
Yeah.
the boat. So
does.
yeah, obviously everyone was boozing hard. I was like, guys, can we just quickly nip? And my best mate, bless him, the idiot, was like, obviously shite. Was like, Jack, you're not doing this. You've worked hard enough. I'll
Who's
get.
that? Who's that?
My Codge, you met the one with the
Codge?
glasses? Yeah.
Yeah.
He was like that. Lad, step aside. I'll get all this rubbish off. And you've got to remember, some of that rubbish had been in there
Yeah.
for 111 days.
Yeah.
And he's just in there like elbow deep,
Correct.
you know, pulling out this gaff.
Lad.
Bless him. Yeah, good lad. Cheers, Codge. But yeah,
Right,
but your boat was.
we arrived in Barbados, had some issues with the authorities, solved those pretty quickly.
Shop it.
Yeah, some idiot just said, "Oh, you just moor it up on this jetty at Port St Charles, outside of this Pier 1, like very fancy sort of restaurant thing." We just fucking left it there for 3 days, mate. I didn't realise, you know, you're used to it when you're rowing on that thing. When you're rowing on that thing, mate,
Absolutely hum.
it fucking stinks, right?
Yeah.
And anyway, left it for 3 days, got on the
Flying
piss. We
fish everywhere.
Oh yeah. Yes, and the general fucking malodor of the thing in general. You could smell it from 100 metres away.
Yeah, it was. I remember my cabin. Yeah, your cabin just stinks. You smell a bit mouldy.
Just when we got to Miami after that Bahamas row, after like 11 days on the move, and that flaky paint, that white paint that was
Yeah,
flaking off, that
yeah.
the stench of the cabin. When we went back to the boat after, and I put my head in for the last time, I was like, Jesus Christ, I'm gonna have PTSD just thinking about this.
It's hard because it always
This smell.
Yeah, it's like you're like, where do these like the fart stench just makes its way into everything and then just oozes out like over time. It's gopping, mate.
We've had a few horrible questions in a row.
yeah.
What was the question?
Like, fucking
who's
hell, nothing's
gonna
in a
smell
minor
the worst?
surgery to me. But I remember changing over with Junior, and he was like, "Oh, Brucey, check this out." And there's like all our sleeping bags and roll mats were there in the bow cabin, which is a fairly confined space at the best of times. And sort of squatting in there and lifted up his nuts and dick, and there's like an obscene inverse version of a fucking snow globe.
It was a snow
It's just
globe,
like dead, because we had these
spreading everywhere.
we had these chili peanuts on the rations that we had. And Chris and Junior's ball sack, the chili peanuts, mate, because he had like, this weird infection, and really painful, mate.
Oh.
And he
We
lifted
love
up his
you,
dick,
Junior,
and it was like, oh, this dead skin just fell off. And I was like, oh no, I'm about to go and sleep there, mate. And it was like, oh, Brucey, sorry, I didn't realise, mate. And he fucking got out and swapped over, mate.
Oh. Bet you were so tired you just got your head straight down, didn't you?
Yeah,
Yeah. Just the... Go on, H, mate. Next question.
Right, so this one's for Adam and Brucey. How was the training row from the Bahamas to the USA?
It was good fun, wasn't it, mate? Oh, yeah, I loved it. As I said, I think it was in episode 1. It was such a crazy adventure. The fact that we were able to stop on land, meet various people. We stopped on the island of Nassau, and then we stopped on Chub Key, and then on the Bimini Islands as well. Jack and I managed to scuba dive with hammerheads. We
nuts.
we stopped at the only family that were living on this Chub Key Island, and they taught us showed us a spearfishing location, caught some lobster, cooked it fresh. There was nothing else on the island, just beautiful beaches. And we never knew what was around the corner, so it was just mind-blowing throughout. And as we headed into the more shallow water as well, the fact that we were rowing through like 2 meters of depth, and it was just perfect, like Gatorade blue. It's calm conditions. It'll be a stark contrast to what we see on the North Atlantic, but it was a real pleasure. It was like a really cool story just in its own right.
it was
wasn't it? I really enjoyed it.
I feel like there's a good amount of value there. Like you learn about life on the boat and shit.
For sure, yeah.
It's a fairly fucking harsh introduction, really.
It was fairly,
mate,
yeah.
A lot of people won't do a training row of that length before they row an ocean. I don't know many people that
I
have.
certainly
I don't know if
worked out.
it's worth mentioning that funny story when we were trying to get through that gap, mate. just before we came in that morning, before we arrived in Nassau that afternoon.
Oh yeah, in the morning when you woke me up and you were like,
Oh yeah.
Adam
yeah,
came
yeah,
So I was rowing on my own. So Ads used to row 3 hours in the night, and then me and Jack used to do 3 hours. So Ads would row an hour and a half by himself or whatever, and we just alternate. So Ads would do
Yeah, so no,
3 hours rotation.
I do 3 hours, hour and a half with him, come off. Then you do your first hour and a half. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The point I'm trying to get to is at one point I was like rowing for an hour on my own.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I had a bearing that I was just following, and I was like generally rowing a sort of like same equivalent as going
Rowing
for a
us
steady
west,
jog,
yeah.
really, to
Yeah.
the amount of physical exertion I was expending.
yeah,
And then I set off, and Jack woke up, and he came out. Flapping's probably the wrong word. A bit irate. Something was clearly important was going on. And it was like
Alarmed.
Brucey, alarmed. Yeah. Like generally, like really concerned. It was like Brucey, and he sort of scrambled over me because I was in the stroke seat and jumped in the bow seat, and it was like fuck, because he just woke up and checked on the GPS. Man, I fucking realised there's a massive tidal current pushing us onto this fucking reef.
Yeah.
And
And we hadn't moved in an
quite
hour or-
happily rowing
Yeah.
throughout the night, mate.
Yeah.
Speed over water, mate. As far as I'm aware, I'm making brilliant time towards Nassau. It was,
You know when people talk about intuition, I just woke up and I was like, because I wasn't due to come on, and I was like, Bruce, you're right, mate. And he was sort of, it was the witching hours, so he was a bit tired. He said, yeah, all good. So I looked at the thing and we were doing 0.7 of a knot, and I was like, right, that's not good. And then got my phone out to look at the nav, and like Brucey said, and I was like, fuck. So I quickly got on the oars, and even
the
with
current got worse, mate.
Yeah,
The
so
Jack
even
jumped
both
on,
of
and the
us.
current was still like
went
the
from
tidal
0.7
flow
to
was
like 1.
increasing, mate.
Yeah.
shit.
And me and Jack was by this point we both realised the fucking gravity of the situation, I guess. And we started rowing slightly harder, mate. And we're like, fuck. And then Ad started waking up, and I was like, oh. No, it's too late, mate. It's too late. We just got fucking stuck in for
Yeah,
a bit.
we're
mate.
fucking going. And I just basically chucked Ads this spaghetti meatballs, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I said, get that
Threw it
down
in
your-
the cabin, yeah.
I said, get that down your head, mate. We're going to 2 hours on, an hour off.
yeah, because we had been doing 2 hours on, 2 hours off.
Yeah.
until then. But yeah,
The conditions are so bad, basically, we couldn't afford to have one person on the oars, so we
Yeah.
needed both.
good
Yeah.
fun. But,
But
we
apart
made it,
from that-
we made it to Nassau, and that was interesting. Yeah, well, we could get onto that story as well.
Yeah, that'll
'cause-
be part 3. Next question,
Just
H.
before we move on, I'm meaning to fucking worm this one into a question for fucking ages. I get sick of doing all this cool shit and Nutty being still stuck in the Marines. He's got his notice in now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Going to do this North Atlantic
Yeah, so
business.
myself and at this current moment, me and Nutty are still serving. I'll be out in February, and you'll be out October, yeah. But with his GRT leave, he'll be fine. Next question, H.
So this one is for Nutty. How do you feel joining the team after not doing the training role? What would your advice be to someone going into a new environment / workplace to make that process as seamless as possible?
Holy fuck, who asked that?
A really long question. That is. Whoever asked that question, thank you. Yes, it was a shame that I missed the first part of it. I would have loved to have done it, and I was keeping up with Jack and Brucey and Adam at the time, and watching their row. But yes, I did miss it. Yeah, and I would really like to have done it.
Yeah, I think
But hey,
you missed it, but you were working.
what can you do?
And what helps
Yeah.
is obviously, so that question is not like Nutty was just cherry picked and he didn't know anyone. Great relationship with Brucey and myself. We go back to some pretty hard times in Brunei. That makes it sound a lot more dodgy than it actually was. All work, but yeah.
Borderline,
all work,
yeah.
no play.
All work, fucking no play.
No play
No
at all.
play. No, seriously, like no play. So yeah, that made the integration
Yeah.
it's like easy, and it's just one of those things. I think if you're a nice person, you're a good person, you can integrate into any sort of team.
But no, what advice would you give to anyone that was thinking about ocean rowing? How would you go about it if you were to advise them?
God, that's an interesting question. Pick a very good team. And get to know the people that you're going to row with. What else is there? I'm shit at this.
No, it's good. No,
now's
it's
a great time for a shameless plug of Mission Atlantic.
yeah.
Yeah. Why don't you plug him, Brucey?
I just did, didn't I?
No, I'm not very good at this. Well, put on the spot and can't think about.
So I think what you said.
Same question to you, Jack. What would you, to someone that was interested in ocean rowing, I don't know, not necessarily encouragement, what sort of advice would you, building on what Nutty just said?
Build on one nut, he said, you've got to pick a good team. I don't know how quantifiable this statistic is, but they say 70% of teams that row the Atlantic don't speak to each other after.
70?
70, yeah. Or it might be 70, but it's high. Again, I don't know how quantifiable it is, but having spoken to a lot of teams that have rowed the, I can believe it,
Here's another spurious open-ended question, Jack. What do you think makes a good team?
What do I think makes a good team? Understanding. You
pulling
can't
in the same direction.
pulling in the same direction,
Figuratively and literally.
and literally. Hey, you always want to pull in the same direction, baby. No, you've got to pull in the same direction. Like if we're four people, and if we want different things from this row, and I mean they can be slightly different, but if they are cataclysmically different, it's gonna become fractious.
If I might build on what you've just said,
actually, yeah.
I think that's one of the beautiful things about the team we have now. Everyone's got their own different level of area of interest, but for us all to work together, it takes a certain amount of compassion and understanding, and what's the fucking word? Like lack of ego to allow someone else to say their thing and consider what someone else's idea is.
Absolutely,
Yeah, definitely. I feel like I'm comfortable in this team.
No, absolutely, yeah. I feel very comfortable in this team.
Yeah, something that we outlined, which I'm very glad we did as well a few months ago. We've all got slightly different minor pursuits and reasons that we're doing this intrinsically and extrinsically, but the fact that we've outlined kind of our order of priorities of what we're trying to achieve here. And number one is get across safely. So when we're in a pinch and we don't know what's like, everyone's pulling in a slightly different direction. When we're, food deprived and sleep deprived, it's, listen, boys, the number one objective was to get across safely. Are we acting accordingly with that objective? Then the number two objective was to remain friends at the other side, right? So like you said, we're going to get, our relationship's going to get stretched at various points, all four of us and individually as a group. And so making sure that the decisions that we make sure that we are acting with that in mind to stay friends and talk to each other when we get to the other side. And then number three is obviously the world record as well, because the world record can't come without prioritizing the other two first, the safety and the friendship. They're holistically more important things. Yeah. And then
I
obviously
feel like it'd be such a shame to share such an experience and not be able to talk about it between each other afterwards.
Yeah, definitely.
Like we're all volunteering through different mechanisms for the same sort of experience. I suspect for actually quite similar reasons.
Yeah.
So different ways of going about it. Yeah, it'd be a horrendous shame if we didn't able to reminisce and stay in touch. After it's all done.
Because that
I'd
happens.
fucking like to do another one as well.
Yeah.
Harry's interested.
Yeah. What are you saying, Harry? You in for the next one?
We've already shook hands on it, so there's no going back.
There we go. You heard it here first. H, I think we've got time for one more question.
Brown or white bread?
Fucking easy. Ooh.
What a boring fucking question.
Why
does it matter? That's fucking bread.
Someone's not had a freshly baked loaf of
bread.
tiger bread.
I like sourdough. Sourdough's okay. What does that
likewise.
count as? Both?
Fucking posh cunt.
Yeah.
No, it is good.
It's £4.
Grant, mate, I like. Yeah. But there's got to be something, mate. There's got to be something said for Tesco value chip butty white bread.
Here you are. Let me.
good.
I can
North Atlantic
introduce
will
this
be
one.
one.
Yeah,
White
that's
bread
what,
for
yeah.
sure.
When do you most enjoy having bread?
In the field.
Bacon sandwich.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
fair,
White bread.
And you'd want white bread then.
Yeah.
There you
white
go.
Bread,
Oh, yeah.
white
Question
bread.
answered.
Yeah.
Easy.
I would
Well,
swap.
Let's do one more, shall we?
yeah, go on.
Yeah, quick one.
Do you remember the bread that you got given in the field?
What, like with range stew?
No. When we
That
were,
was white bread,
in
also coincidentally.
Far East.
You're always the voice of wisdom in this group, Bruce.
Do you not remember?
You know.
Oh,
Fucking you.
yeah, the burger bun.
No. So you got
Right, boys, we're on the clock. One more question.
Me and Bruce.
jam and peanut butter.
Yeah,
I'd swap that with
for anything.
for anything. Sorry.
Go on, Age.
Tangent.
Right, yep, this is an important one. Can we follow you live?
No.
Wait and see what happens at the other end.
Depends how loaded our camera is.
There's been a huge amount. No, it hasn't really been a huge amount of contention. There's two amongst the four of us are really keen on live updates, and
You can guess which two that is.
Yeah.
professionally wise, I completely understand it.
And also as well, it helps drive donations.
Definitely.
It does, and
If we
I'm
wanna
not
raise 50
totally against it. I just kind of like the idea of the only connection you have with the outside world is
I
the
like
most
that too.
austere satellite phone package, uplink package I can buy in the least amount of minutes
Money,
I
yeah.
want
True,
back
You know what
but
is quite
to be
nice?
used in
It's
case
just
of emergency.
No contact. Anything.
Agreed. The best way to think about it is like
nice is that?
the fact that we have the external contact and we'll be uploading things doesn't mean that we're taking in things from the outside world. We're not going to be necessarily listening to what's going on. We're not going to be,
But we could take in things from the outside world
but we
in the
will elect not to,
highest
Brucey.
definition.
But like the idea is, well, yeah, we will be uploaded. You'll be able to track us, our Garmin, where we are on the North Atlantic at all times. We're going to be doing daily updates, weather permitting. We need the solar power energy in order to give us the electronic power. Obviously, us getting water comes before transmitting data to let you know what we're up to. But we're going to keep you in the loop via videos, predominantly on Instagram, and we're going to make a feature-length documentary that won't come out live, but that will tell of the entire story from Bahamas to Southampton. Out the other end.
A slightly personal question. I know we've discussed this earlier.
This could be
how do you feel?
From Brucey as well.
Yeah, I was like that. Oh, God, we're on the clock.
Adam,
No,
how do you feel
finish
that I've
on
got a
a
bigger
serious
penis?
Like with all the travels you've got around the world and all the adventures and experiences that you've had, do you feel like it changes the way you experience those by having to document them for an
Definitely.
audience?
Yeah, definitely. There's
if
a
so,
price.
how does it
There's a
change?
price to be paid. So initially, when I started, it took a lot of mental bandwidth for me to be thinking about how I'm going to talk to the camera while enjoying it and doing it. And there was a huge cost associated with that, whereby if I was doing something, I wouldn't be able to associate any mental bandwidth to actually enjoying myself. It would all be about what am I going to tell the camera, what's the lighting, what's the angle, when am I pulling the camera out. But as I've done it for a few years now, I can do the talking on autopilot. No, there's a rough formula of how I'm going to talk and what I'm going to do. And I can get the benefit of recording things and documenting them, but also enjoying them for myself. But that's not to say that there's 100% a trade-off always. And when you're completely disconnected from the outside world and not worried about portraying it in a certain way to the external world, like you can have a more profound internal experience. And yeah, for none of us, we don't want to jeopardize that feeling and the experience of the expedition. But it's bigger than us, and there's money to be raised for charity. And also there's something that I've learned in my everyday life, which is you can enjoy a moment fully 100%, but then if you don't document it, you don't get to relive that. So there's a trade-off within documenting it and then being able to like with the Bahamas expedition, sometimes it was a bit stiff where we had to record things and we didn't want to, but now we can watch those videos for years to come.
And I think that is a great moment to end episode 2. And if you want to hear more, you'll have to tune into episode 3. No, thank you very much for watching, guys.
Yeah,
we hope
see
you
you
enjoyed
on the
that. There's
next
going to be
episode.
more of this to come. Don't worry, more laughs, banter, and all that good rowing information that you want to hear. Thank you for watching, guys. Peace.
Ciao.